Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you another horror movie review. This time we're going to be talking about Friday the 13th, the final chapter, which was part 4 of the series, and at first was actually intended to be the final chapter. But, it went on for a little bit longer than that. I mean, you just had a couple more movies after that. There was part 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, Jason X. 10 being Jason X, I mean. Then they had Freddy vs. Jason, they had the remake. But yeah, this was the final chapter. Anyway, this movie was, it was directed by Joseph Zito and starred Corey Feldman with our introduction to young Tommy Jarvis, as well as Kimberly Beck as Trish Jarvis, his sister, and Erich Anderson as Rob Dyer, who plays like this guy who had lost his sister, who I think was actually one of the supporting characters in the second film, I believe. And of course, he had Ted White playing Jason Voorhees. So yeah, and that's the thing. If you're a fan of these films, you gotta know who played Jason in every one. Come on. It was Ted White playing Jason in this one. So I reviewed part 3 not too long ago, and I plan on doing reviews of all the Friday films at some point. Because I did a video a while ago for Halloween, talking about my favorite horror slasher franchise and everything. For me, it's between like Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street being maybe the most entertaining all around, I guess, or the most critically good. But Jason Voorhees still by far my favorite slasher, as a singular character. So that's why I'm going to do a review on every single Friday film we've gotten so far. It might take me a while, but I'll get there eventually. Because, like I said, there's more than a couple movies after this. I'm also taking my girlfriend periodically through it, so it's also kind of at that pace. Friday the 13th, part 4 of the final chapter. I like this one. Well, I like all of them. I'm not gonna say I don't like it. Out of like the first 4 films. Before we get to 5 and then 6 with Jason's zombie Jason resurrection and everything, when Jason is still arguably somewhat human, I guess. I like all 4 of them, but I would say this and maybe part 1 in certain ways had the best mood and tone to it. And I like part 3, don't get me wrong. There's actually things I like more about part 3 than certain parts of the others. But I think, again, if you look at it from a critical perspective, I do believe that part 4 is a little bit better, maybe. But I'll get into that more in a couple minutes. Like I said, the premise is pretty simple, and it is with almost every Friday movie. You see Jason, he, of course is still alive. He gets up in the morgue. He kills the nurse and, I think that he's like the grunt or the janitor guy, whatever. Maybe the male nurse too, I don't know. They start having sex, and of course Jason, kills him. He uses a hacksaw and everything, which is kind of cool. And then, of course, he heads back to, after the events of Higgins Haven, of course. I'm also going to do a video on the Friday the 13th game soon, too, because that's been a blast. I'll talk more about that when the time comes. And then, of course, he heads back after that. And then you just basically have another group, who's staying there. And including Corey Feldman's character, Tommy Jarvis, who is a big character, in 5 and 6 as well. And it was good to see him in this. He likes collecting and making like horror masks and everything like that. So there's a uniqueness to the character. He's not just like some normal little kid in a horror movie. I thought he did a fine job in this. And there's a couple other likable performances too. There's Lawrence Manson, who played Ted. He's the one trying to flirt with the twins in the movie and stuff, and ends up being stabbed through the film screen and everything like that. I found him to give at least a likable performance, even if the guy was a bit of a sleazeball. Then I also liked Samantha earlier on in the movie. She's the one killed in the little raft in the lake and everything. I actually found her personality to be somewhat likable as well, or at least the actress's performance. And then, of course, her boyfriend Paul was, flirting with the twins as well, and Samantha stormed off, and that's why she's by herself in the lake. But Paul actually felt guilty. He pushed the twin away. Then he went after her, to try and make it up to her. But then he ends up taking a spear to the groin, pretty much. Which was one of the better kills in the movie as well. And that's like one of my only critiques with this movie, is that the kills aren't quite as fun or as memorable as Part 3's were to me. Because in Part 3, not only did you have Jason getting the hockey massacre the first time, but you also had kills in the spear gun to the eye, and different things like that. As well as the pitchfork, I guess, which maybe wasn't that great. Then you also had the eye, crush thing with the eyes, gouging out or popping out and everything. There's no kills quite as memorable as Lowe's in this one. But like I said, I think the best thing about this one in comparison to the third is that I think it does have a darker, more grim mood to it, which I think helped. And then Jason, of course, still looks pretty good. And there's just more of an impending sense of doom in this one, like I said, due to the atmosphere the film creates. That's successful on that end. And there's the mother. We see her. Cut to her and she screams, but we don't see what happens to her. We don't see her body at any point or anything, I don't believe. So it's odd she was killed off screen, but I don't know why they would never show the mother's body or something, considering she'd be a semi-important character to the others, I guess. And then the Rob character, the one who's trying to avenge his sister, ends up being kind of pointless as well, and honestly he turns into one of the cheesier, campier parts of the movie in an otherwise darker Friday film. Because when he's killed in the basement by Jason, he takes a garden harrow to the throat or head or something, I remember. I think it's Tommy's sister, I forget her name, but Trish, she sees him in the basement, she goes back for him, and then he's just yelling, he's killing me, as Jason's, trying, as Jason's overpowering him. And that part is just kind of cheesy. Why would you, is that supposed to motivate her? That's just going to freak her the fuck out and make it an even worse experience for her. And I don't know, he's not going to kill Jason himself, but I expected, him to go out in a more dignified way, for the way they were writing the character. I don't know. If you get killed in the basement by Jason, okay, yeah, I'd get killed in the basement by Jason too. But just that line and the way he was yelling it was, just kind of odd. Then there's the bathroom kills as well, or the shower kill, I should say. Then I also liked Jimmy's death. He took a corkscrew to the hand and then a cleaver just directly across his face, which again was one of the better kills, just not quite as memorable as the third. Jason, I wish I had a picture ready right now, but Jason's face, it also sort of changes from the third film, and I sort of like the way Jason's face looked more in the third than I do in this one. But when the mask finally comes off, Tommy Jarvis knocks it off, and then it's one of the most iconic moments in the earlier films, with Jason finally being killed until he's resurrected a couple films later. And Tommy just sort of snaps and he goes, psycho. He had shaved his head and everything, and he just hits Jason over and over. His sister's yelling for him to stop because she sees how overboard it's getting. Tommy definitely turned into a different, child character in these films, I think, for sure. So I thought the acting all around was fine, for what it was. Corey Feldman's good. But other than that, it's pretty much what you'd expect. And also another kill I did like in this movie. I'm going to stop bringing up Part 3, but another kill I actually did like in this movie was when Jason, I forget who he grabs, but he grabs someone and, he's on the second floor, roof, or the whatever you want to call it, and he just grabs someone through the window and throws him out. So I thought that was kind of cool as well. And there's also the debate about the dog in this film. You see the dog going out a window as well, but it doesn't appear like it's being thrown. It seemed like it was definitely more in a jumping position. It's kind of going outward like that. It wasn't turned on its side or anything. So I think the dog probably escaped, fled and stuff like that. But yeah, overall I think this is a superior film to the third one. Maybe just like looking at it, as both are, but maybe not quite as memorable, I suppose. I don't know. I'm sure I'm gonna watch both again at some point, but that's my look at it for now. And it also teases this possibility that Tommy's going to become like a psycho as well. We see him in in a mental hospital, very briefly in part 6, or they just escaped from there or whatever. And then he's in a home with some other kids in the 5th one. But, I guess if I had to rate this movie, I'd rate it maybe a B-. Pretty good, for what it is. I don't think I really rate it much higher than that. But, again, I definitely like the mood of it. I thought Jason's mask looked really cool. And although I prefer his face in the 3rd one, the design of it and everything, I like that they kept, of course, the axe wound, to his head right there, which became really, of course, remained a thing with the character for a good while anyway. Also like that moment where Jason does crash through the window and grabs Tommy like that. That was some of that was replicated in the 2009 remake as well, when he, grabs Jared Padalecki's character in the same way. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys thought about part 4, the final chapter, how you think it compares to the first 4, maybe just how it ranks among your favorites in general in the franchise. So follow me on Facebook, Twitter, subscribe. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.